like Deutsch on the local school boards here.
Richard Hayden. Richard Hayden.
Sorry, can I introduce you? This is him. Sure. Okay, I don't know. This is Diana Bannister.
How you doing?
Hi, how are you? Great. Richard Hayden. I'm running the 44th district.
That's like so proud. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm so sorry. You got friends everywhere, don't you?
The cutest hat ever.
Okay, nice getting to know you.
Yeah, exactly. Great to see you.
So this time I remembered a clipboard because I had one outdoor experience where the paper started flying.
Olivia, can you let these
Y'all look
ladies
beautiful.
through?
What's that, honey?
These young ladies want to get
Yes, girls, go right ahead.
Oh, perfect.
As we talked earlier, don't get sucked into the photo.
So everybody's good with 2 minutes. Because I'm going for 2 minutes. Everybody's good with 2 minutes. Hello, Father. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, it means a lot.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. All right. Looking good.
All right. Do you think
Whenever you're ready, Mark.
Let's just go, okay? Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Marjorie Dannenfelser. I'm the president of the Susan B. Anthony List, and I'm joined by these beautiful ladies who you will hear from right after me. You'll hear perspectives of many accomplished women standing behind me, but there is one message that we want everyone who is a legislator, Delegate Tran, Governor Northam, Governor Cuomo, any legislature in this nation that is considering allowing abortion up until birth, during labor, and infanticide itself. Here's one thing we want you to know. If you seek to build women's rights upon the broken bodies of America's children, you will fail. We will. You are failing, and we will defeat you. And it's a blessing, to be honest. Look at us out here. We're in a defining moment for this nation. The almost born or just born boy or girl is becoming visible to the Americans all around the nation. They're becoming visible. The nation can now visualize the little nose, the little ear, the little bodies, the eyes of these precious children. The eyes... I'm sorry. These children standing next to me, that's who we're talking about. The eyes of those miraculous creatures that we once were are looking at us. Gazing into those eyes, there are only two responses. The response of Governor Northam, the response of Delegate Tran, that is to cast an unseeing gaze upon those children and chant, "My body, my choice." The other response to that gaze, the other beautiful response, is coming from members of Congress, legislators, and the vast majority of American people, and you will see in the U.S. Senate on Monday, and that is the response that says, you can rely upon me in your vulnerability. You can depend upon me in your need. That's the response that these children deserve. If any elected officials and members of the media say nothing, you have said everything. Your silence speaks. So thank you to the members of the media who are here today. But again, directly to those officials who serve at the pleasure of the American people, who are considering these horrendous procedures all over the nation right now, the Susan B. Anthony List and our entire growing pro-life movement promises you this. Get ready for the private sector, outside of government. We will defeat you. You have violated the very principles you were sworn to uphold. This inhumanity, this callousness towards the human person has nothing to do with public service. We will begin with the Virginia legislature in the fall. Yeah.
I'm Victoria Cobb, the president of the Family Foundation of Virginia. The Commonwealth and the nation have been horrified and shocked over this discussion about horrific abortion practices being supported by various Democrats in Virginia. But Virginians, like me, who have been working in politics and policy long before Delegate Tran, Senator McClellan, and Governor Northam entered the scene, are not surprised. We have watched the abortion industry's influence over this political party grow exponentially in recent recent years. I stand here to tell you that this bill was not mischaracterized by Delegate Tran, was not introduced by the fringe element of this party, and does not contain any new concepts. They had a similar bill last year, and they had more than one bill this year. This bill is who they are. As for Governor Northam's role in all of this, he didn't confuse late-term abortion and infanticide. He views them as the same. He supports both, and he is right on one thing. Both are morally equivalent. Both are murder. While Northam's comments were even more stunning than Delegate Tran shared about her bill, only a matter of seconds and a birth canal separates the two situations that were described. As a senator, Governor Northam was a member of the Senate Education and Health Committee. For years, he heard lengthy testimony about the wrongness of abortion on children with disabilities. He looked into the eyes of children and adults who had overcome great difficulties. And each time, he would dispassionately argue to his fellow senators that it was cheaper for the state to pay for abortion than to pay for services for these children as they would go into their lives. Senator Northam voted for every bill Planned Parenthood brought him. He fervently fought against abortion center safety standards, even a bill requiring only licensing, inspection, and life-saving medical equipment in Virginia's abortion centers. As a candidate for governor, the abortion industry put nearly $3 million into his campaign coffers. I warned Virginia then, and I'm sorry to be standing here saying Northam is bought and paid for by the abortion industry. They are getting what they paid for. For people who thought he might walk back his words, they need to remember his press secretary came from NARAL Pro-Choice Virginia. As for the rest of the Democrat Party, they embraced this fully. 14 of 19 Senate Democrats either voted or co-patroned for these late-term abortion bills, and 23 delegates either voted or co-patroned for these late-term abortion bills. At any time, any of them could pull their names off of the support list. At any time, they could distance themselves. Only one has, and as for Delegate Adams claiming to have not read the bill, that seems below the call of elected office. Finally, Delegate Fillercorn, Democratic House Caucus Chair, acknowledged that these bills have a lot of support. Clearly, she must mean only from her colleagues, because the overwhelming majority of Virginians find late-term abortion reprehensible. Lest we think this issue is in any better hands under the leadership of Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, here's what he had to say about the bill after the Senate version died. Quote, "Though we had some setbacks today in committee around this legislation, please be on notice that when we come back at the next General Assembly session, it will be a very different outcome because we will have more allies in the House and Senate." Remember, he was a board member of Planned Parenthood Metropolitan Washington Action Fund. In conclusion, I think of the words of Theodore Roosevelt: "Never will I sit motionless while directly or indirectly apology is made for the murder of the helpless." In securing any kind of peace, the first assessment is to guarantee to every man the most elementary of rights, the right to his own life. Murder is not debatable.
My name is Olivia Gans Turner. I am the president of the Virginia Society for Human Life, which is the nation's oldest pro-life organization, having been founded in 1967. We are also the only single-issue organization in the state. We have fought alongside groups like Family Foundation, Catholic Conference, and others for years fighting these bills, and has been stated no one of us is surprised by the actions of Governor Northam, Delegate Tran, or any of their cronies and colleagues in the Democratic caucus. This agenda has been driven for years by the pro-abortion elements in our communities, NARAL, Planned Parenthood, etc. The reality is that the new ethos of the pro-abortion lobby is to go all in for abortion under any circumstances at any time. It always has been since 1973, but now the cat is out of the bag. We are seeing the truth once and for all. The veil is pulled away, and we are aware that even at 9 months of pregnancy, these people believe it's legitimate, and that in fact they are willing to strip away all hard-won state protections and pro-life provisions. The outcry we are hearing now points clearly to the disgust trust that Virginians and Americans of every stripe have toward these attempts to strip away these provisions and protections and hard-won laws. Delegate Tran's heinous bill simply cast a much-needed light into the dark minds of those in the General Assembly that see abortion as the ultimate good for women and who have absolutely no respect for the innocent and helpless unborn lives who perish in every single abortion. As has been said, the same bill and others like it were introduced again and again and luckily have been defeated again and again, but only because there is a pro-life majority in the Virginia General Assembly. Any state General Assembly or legislature could find themselves in the same condition because, of course, New York has set a new standard of shame for every other state to copy. We promise you that here in Virginia, we will not follow in those footsteps. Pro-abortion Democrats in Virginia believe that they are within striking distance of their goal. They think that the people of Virginia can be fooled and dissuaded, and they can be masked by other kinds of distractions. But we will not support their agenda, and we will not become another New York under any circumstances. The unborn child is the forgotten member in every one of these debates. Every abortion stops the beating heart of an innocent unborn child. By 20 weeks of pregnancy, perhaps even earlier, we know that abortion causes excruciating pain to the child who is killed in that process. In order to do an abortion in that late stage of pregnancy at the 7th, 8th, and 9th month, the techniques in order to do an abortion in the late months of pregnancy, the techniques involved require poisoning the unborn child or pulling that child apart limb by limb in their mother's body. The truth is that we are looking at gruesome and horrible things that are being done on a daily basis. This is not a new conversation for those of us in the pro-life movement. We have been standing strong with those in the General Assembly, individuals like Tim Hugo and others who are here today representing the pro-life position in Northern Virginia. We know that Planned Parenthood is buying these individuals. We know that NARAL is buying these individuals. We know that right now, even as we fight this, there are issues like the ERA being resurrected from ancient days to cause trouble here in the Virginia legislature, which would also strip every law, not only in Virginia, but if ratified, could strip every law across the United States. They fight from every angle, and so must we. We must be prepared to do what we must. I've had an abortion myself. I am one of the mothers that are often talked about by the likes of Delegate Tran or Governor Northam. And I can tell you that women do deserve medical care that does not kill their babies and does not put our bodies and our minds at risk for years of anguish, physical harm, and regret. Virginia's Republicans have made it clear that they intend to stand strong in defense of life. For that, we are all grateful here, particularly the Virginians in this crowd. But we must ask you in your country and your throughout the country, in your own states, to make sure you are communicating. Communicate now, every day, constantly with your legislative members. Make sure they know your position. If they're doing the right thing, thank them. If they are not, if they are too cowardly to stand, if they have deliberately done the unthinkable and supported abortion, make it clear where you stand and that you are watching and that you are voting. The difference between the two sides of the House of Delegates is very clear. There are far too many pro-abortion delegates ready and willing to do the bidding of the abortion industry, Planned Parenthood, and others at the expense of the women and unborn children of Virginia. That exists across the country. We must not look away. Virginians and other states must decide the direction we will go as a country, and it must not be in the wake of New York.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Amy McInerney, and I'm the Director of Respect Life for the Catholic Diocese of Arlington. As our bishop said, since the beginning of this year's Virginia General Assembly session on January 9th, we have witnessed the introduction of extreme abortion legislation, culminating in Delegate Tran's horrific bill, which would legalize abortion from conception through labor. This bill, my friends, was not a fluke, but a key part of a bold and calculated attempt by the abortion lobby to take over our beloved Old Dominion. From the dangerous and deceptively named Equal Rights Amendment to health care, abortion mandates, to this delegate trans bill, which would have abolished virtually every Virginia law that provides even minimal protection to unborn children. This is a steady march towards the total loss of legal protection for unborn children and their mothers. We must be alert to the reality that these bills have only been stopped up till now because we have a slim majority of pro-lifers in the General Assembly. I ask you, what do you want the future of Virginia to look like? If we lose our pro-life majority in November, then we will also quickly lose even the common sense abortion restrictions that currently protect preborn children and their mothers in our state, such as common sense 24-hour waiting period prior to having an abortion, offering the mother the chance to see her child on ultrasound before going through with the abortion, or the very common sense prohibitions on abortionists from using, as our law currently says, quote, undue inducement of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, or coercion to influence a mother to have an abortion. Are we going to let that happen? No. Do we want to be forced to pay for the slaughter of our children in Virginia? No. All right, then. This is not a question of left versus right or Republican versus Democrat. This is a question of getting back to the basics of being decent human beings. What do we want the future of Virginia to look like? Friends, this is the moment for all people of goodwill to advocate for life. We must make our views known to our elected officials. Come out of your comfort zones. Make that phone call to Richmond. Show up and testify. There are lives at stake. Moreover, we must identify and elect candidates for public office who will protect and defend the right to life. If we do not raise our voices for the voiceless, who will? The future of our state depends on each of us engaging with clarity and charity until our political leaders understand that we demand them to protect life and liberty of conscience. Until that day when every life is protected in law and welcomed in love, the Diocese of Arlington stands ready to continue to offer assistance to expectant families in need, as well as healing to those who are suffering after abortion. Together with the many pregnancy assistance centers in our state, adoption support services, and life-affirming free clinics, we can make abortion not just unnecessary, but unthinkable. Thank you.
Criminalize it.
Hi, my name is Tina Whittington. I'm the Executive Vice President at Students for Life of America. I'm going to move this down. Awesome. So the Democratic Party has been hiding for decades behind a mantra of safe, legal, and rare, while them and the abortion lobby have been pushing forth a radical agenda of abortion on demand without apology through all 9 months of pregnancy up until birth, and what we know now, including clear infanticide. And now is the moment that our nation must be woken up. Wake up, America. Wake up. The abortion lobby, Planned Parenthood, and their allies have a radical abortion agenda. And we just saw this past weeks here in Virginia what it is, right? We know what their agenda is. At Students for Life, we just issued polling that showed millennials, only 7% approve, accept this extreme view on abortion. And of those we polled, the majority, even those who consider themselves pro-choice, want to see limits on abortion. They want to see limits. This is extreme. This is radical. And now is the time for us to be outraged. Outraged. We must be outraged over a procedure that's horrific, terrible, violent, that ends the life of an innocent human child and can be very harmful to the woman who's getting that abortion. We must be outraged at Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is the nation's largest abortion provider, and they fund the Democratic Party. Who do you think got these people elected here in Virginia? It was Planned Parenthood. They want to do this because when they get them elected, their friends, the Democrats who want this radical agenda, that means that they continue to have access to your tax dollars. That means that they continue to have access to selling women in crisis abortion as a solution, the final solution. And then they take those babies' body parts and then they sell them for profit. And then they cast the woman and the child aside. We must be outraged. I'm as a Virginia citizen, I'm glad that this bill died in committee. But as a U.S. citizen, I cannot be silent, and neither can you, because this isn't just going to end here. It doesn't end here in Virginia today. This is going to be pushed forward in multiple states, and we need to be prepared because it's going to come back in Virginia. If we do not speak for life, we do not vote for life, then we will see this fight every year. And so I encourage you guys, don't just be outraged today. Don't just be outraged here in Virginia, but carry this on. Vote, speak, and resist infanticide and abortion.
Hi, good morning. I'm Allison Santafonte, Director of External Affairs at Live Action, and I'm also a proud pro-life Virginian. So where are all my proud pro-life Virginians? It is an honor to stand here with you, peaceful, happy warriors. I will stand here, we will all stand here and fight the extremism that we're seeing in Virginia, New York, and across this country. Why? Because we believe in science. Yes. Why? Because we believe in the beauty of life. Yes. And why? Because we have spent more than 40 years talking to women who have had abortions, many here today. And we need to offer, finally, a hand of healing instead of continuing to tell them there is no loss to be grieved. What a great injustice for people like Governor Northam, Virginia Delegate Kathy Tran, to speak so flippantly about the life of a preborn child. That women, and I believe there are many women, both Republican and Democrat, who want to heal and want to acknowledge this loss. But the Democrat Party refuses to allow them to do that. They refuse to acknowledge science. But I know we will. That's why we are here today. Now let me ask you a question. Who is Governor Northam responding to? Who is Virginia Delegate Kathy Tran talking to? Thank you. 75% of Americans reject abortion. They are for limiting abortion to the first trimester, if not banning it outrightly. That includes 60% of Democrats. Let me remind you, 60% of Democrats would like to limit abortion to the first trimester, if not ban it outrightly. So they're not answering for the American people. They're not even answering for most of their Democratic base. They are taking their marching orders from a pro-abortion lobby that financially incentivizes them to take these far extreme abortion stances. Planned Parenthood gave almost $3 million to Governor Northam's campaign. What would you do for $3 million? Maybe you would toe the party line, which includes abortion through all 9 months for any reason at the taxpayer dollar. Planned Parenthood also tossed a couple $1,000s at Kathy Tran's race because they thought she would carry water too, and that's what she's doing. We as Americans must speak out against this. This has opened Pandora's box for us as an opportunity to stand together, be united, be loving, and be truthful. Now, you'll hear, as many of you have, as you've posted on Facebook, you've talked about this idea that, well, it's only happening in rare cases. It's only happening when the life and health of the mother is at risk. So I just want to address that this morning. I want to equip you to push back on that. We've done some great reporting at liveactionnews.org. You can go online and find others up here who have done the same. OBGYNs across the country are affirming that there is no medical need for abortion. Right. We must applaud that. We must affirm that. We should always seek to love them both and save them both. There are tragic cases of tragic disabilities and deformities. But as it's been brought up today, let me remind you, during a third trimester abortion, a baby is lethally injected with a poison called digoxin, and it ends their heartbeat. Labor is then induced. This baby is still delivered. Why not give a fully viable baby the chance at life? We need to restore dignity to this child and to the way we look at women and their pregnancies. Live action investigative journalists have actually been inside some of the most late-term notorious abortion facilities. We have captured on camera these late-term abortionists admitting to performing abortions in the third trimester for any reason. They don't have a concern for fetal abnormalities, deformities, life or health of the mother, which we all know also that the health of the mother angle includes everything from physical, emotional, financial well-being. It does mean for any reason. So please go watch those videos. It's there for us to see. This is happening every day in the nation's largest abortion provider, Planned Parenthood, and other abortion industries across the country. So I encourage you to speak up for life. Thank you for being here. We will continue as an alliance, as a pro-life country who is beginning to see the beauty of the preborn, even in utero, to stand against extreme bills like this. Thank you so much.
Hello. My name's Janae Strachey. I'm the Grassroots Director for Heritage Action, many of whom are here, yes. And they live here in this district. They came here today to speak to Delegate Kathy Tran, who decided to cancel. Why did they decide to cancel? Because they're afraid. They wanted to come and make a statement and affirm themselves, but they found out you guys were coming. They know that they are not speaking for their people. They know that they are not representing Americans. As everyone before me has already pointed out, they are bought and paid for by the abortion industry. And what are they actually afraid of? They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of science. They're afraid of Roe v. Wade being overturned. They want it to come back. They're targeting the states, and they're right, it's not just Virginia. It's happening in other states. The other states already have laws, but there are also some states that have some conservative laws. And they are terrified. They have to fight back against this in an extreme way because money is on the line for them. Their campaigns are on the line. As I was thinking about this over the last few days and trying to somehow wrap my mind around how we're in this position. I've been pro-life my whole life, but it was solidified for me in high school when my sister had an unplanned pregnancy. I've walked through that with her. I've walked through pregnancy with friends and families who the doctors told them it was dangerous for their life, for their baby's life. I know many friends and family who have children with disabilities that the doctor said, I don't know if they're going to make it. This is a really unsafe pregnancy for you. I've walked through that, and it has only solidified my pro-life stance and beliefs, watching these beautiful children grow up and these mothers getting to nurture their children. But as I thought about that and the position we're in today and the conversation we're having, that is not the conversation. We're not talking about resources for women and safety and health. They are talking about killing a child, a fully grown, fully developed child who could live outside the womb out of convenience, out of money, out of fear for their own careers and their futures. It's selfish, it's wrong, it's disgusting, it's criminal, it's illegal. And it's unfortunate that we're having this conversation, but I'm so encouraged by everyone out here because we are not the minority. We are the majority. As Allison just pointed out, even people who do not completely agree with me, they might not believe that life begins at conception, but they do not believe in killing a child who can live outside the womb. This is not at all representative of America, and they need to be stopped. We will stop them, but it's going to take every one of you staying engaged in getting your friends and family and neighbors engaged. It's gone too far. They've overplayed their hands, and we cannot let them win. And they will if we stay home. They have the money, and they will, if we get frustrated and say, oh, we elected them, that's too bad, and let them go. No, we have to keep fighting. We are in the majority. Let's act like it. Thank you so much for coming out.
Hi, I'm Penny Nance. I'm the CEO and president of Concerned Women for America. We're the nation's largest public policy women's organization, and we're pro-life. Kathy Tran does not speak for us. She does not speak for Concerned Women from Virginia. We have an active presence in Virginia, and we are so proud to stand here with our sisters and to link arms with other Virginians and to say, no, not on our watch. And by the way, elections have consequences for life. Yep. If we didn't know that before, we should know it now more than ever. Remember what happened in New York. The reason that Governor Cuomo was able to sign that legislation is because the New York Senate flipped. Yep. So then the Democrats delivered the bill for him, and he signed it. So for everybody, and I'm talking to all my friends out there, people that I love, people that I know, that stayed home in 2017 and 2018 because you didn't like Donald Trump's tweets, wake up. Wake up. Elections have consequences for life. Let me hear you say it. Elections have consequences for life. Elections have consequences for life. Recognize where we are in this moment. We have to step forward and speak. And to all the pastors and priests in America who don't want to be political, wake up. There's a cost to your silence. There is a cost to the unborn. There is a cost to your being quiet, and you will have to answer for that someday. The women of America will lead on this issue. We will not be silenced, but we sure do wish the rest of you would join in. We sure do wish that you would show leadership. Lead or get out of the way. Today's the day. Now, I'm going to call up the names because Kathy Tran wasn't in this all alone, was she? No. Oh, no. So here, and pardon me if I don't get the names exactly right. Write them down. If you're at home right now, write them down. If you're watching on the web, and we're going to put this out there, give them a call. And remember, come Election Day, Hala Ayala, Jennifer Foy, Lee Carter, Wendy Goditis, Elizabeth Guzman, who I know has someone running against her named DJ Jordan, who is fantastic, Patrick Hope, Jay Jones, Kay Corey, Paul Krizik, Mark Levine, Alfonso Lopez, Dolores McQuinn, Sam Razul, David Reed, Deborah Rodman, Marcus Simon, Cheryl Turpin, Rosalind Tyler, Schuler von Valkenburg, and Dawn Adams. You should be ashamed of yourselves. This is not going away, and you're not going to get at this through the ERA either. Yep. The ERA erases women, and we will not stand for it today. So I just want to call on everyone in America to wake up in your individual states, and specifically here in Virginia. We're paying attention. We're not going to forget this. And today's the day because elections have consequences for life. Thank you, and God bless you.
Who's next? Denise? There you are.
Kathy Tran's opponent is here. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today. My name is Denise Capuccio. I am the Director of Finance at Concerned Women for America. I work with Penny, and it is a tremendous honor to go to work every day and to work on behalf of all the issues that we stand for, and one of the most important, obviously, is life. And I'm the Finance Director, so every day I'm there crunching numbers behind my desk, and I'm here because I'm stepping out of my comfort zone today. I don't stand behind podiums typically. I sit behind a desk. But I am standing here because one of the main reasons is because my husband and I just recently purchased a home in Kathy Tran's district, and I am one of her constituents. And when I heard about this legislation, my husband and I were completely appalled and saying, we have to do something. I mean, there's more that each of us can do. And so as a person that's in her district, this opportunity came along to speak, and I said, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone today, and I'm going to stand on behalf of these unborn babies that are wanting to murder. And you're probably saying, well, she doesn't really sound like she's from Virginia. No, I'm not. Originally, I'm from Long Island, New York, as is my husband. And most of my life, I've lived in New York, and I love New York. And there are a lot of believers in New York. However, I think a lot of them have been intimidated because they are surrounded by such liberalism. But I'm encouraged because I am seeing the men and women of God in New York standing up. And I'm seeing pastors getting together, and they're planning events, and things are in the works. And I believe that what has happened in New York with Cuomo and the New York State Senate, and now here in Virginia, people are waking up. And as I was, praying and saying, God, what would you have me to say today? You've given me this opportunity, and I want to be a voice for you, and I want to be a voice for the unborn. And as I was getting ready one morning, a quote came to my mind. And it's from World War II. And after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, this was what one of the admirals said, the Japanese admirals. He said, I fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with terrible resolve. And that's why we see everybody here today. The sleeping giant, the church of the living God, the men and women of God in America, the Deborahs, the Esthers, David's mighty men of our generation are arising. And I thank everyone that's here. I thank all the pastors, and you probably many from New York are watching me right now on Facebook Live as my assistant Bailey's recording me. And they're arising. The church of God is arising. And I think that it took maybe this to awaken the sleeping giant. And I thank God for that. Even though it's a horrible thing, God uses horrible things for good. That's the way he is. His word says he will work all things together for the good, for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And is everyone here, do we all love God? Are we called according to his purpose? Yes, we do. And we thank you, God. Lord, I'm just going to close in a prayer because I'm an accountant, but I'm also a prayer warrior. So I'm going to pray, and I'm just going to say, God, I thank you for these people that are gathered. I thank you, God, that this sleeping giant is awakening in this hour, God. And Lord, I pray that even as I stepped out of my comfort zone today, God, that you would cause many, many, many all across this nation, Lord, from sea to shining sea, that they would arise, God, and they would let their voice be heard in this hour, God, and that there would be a mighty army of righteousness. Lord, your word says in Isaiah, justice is turned back and righteousness stands afar off, for truth is fallen in the street and equity cannot enter. And that's where we find ourselves today. We see it. Truth is fallen in the street, and that is why these people are literally think it's okay to destroy a baby that's coming out of a womb. Truth has fallen in the street. But God, we're here as your people, and we are standing for your truth, and we will not be silent. And let this movement have such momentum, God, that it would be like a roaring tidal wave across this nation, and that we would see abortion overturned in our generation and in our day. We thank you, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
We
have heard today about radicals who want to allow any third trimester abortion, their primary justification for this barbarism being the argument that when a baby is sick or imperfect, it's best just to kill it. These non-viable pregnancies and fetal abnormalities aren't always serious, with some claiming that even Down syndrome babies should be considered incompatible with life. Killing the sick is never a treatment for the sickness.
No, absolutely not.
An abortion is always infanticide.
Yes.
The proper medical intervention, even in the case of a fatal diagnosis for an unborn baby, is not murder, but perinatal hospice, where the womb is treated like a hospice for the unborn baby. That child is loved, cherished for the short time a family is given to be with him or her, and given palliative care like any other hospice situation. What a contrast to our governor's strategy, treating the sick child like property whose value is left up to discussion.
Yeah.
The denial of that child's life, however short, is not compassionate to the dignity of mother or baby.
Yes.
Yay! In fact, when mothers are presented with support and the option of perinatal hospice, studies show that up to 85% of women desire to continue their pregnancies because mothers want to be with their sick children to the end.
Yes.
Yes.
I know the story of two sisters who both passed down to their unborn children a genetic abnormality. One chose abortion. The other chose perinatal hospice, where her baby was treated like a human, loved, held, and died naturally. Later, the woman who had chosen abortion regretted her decision and came back to her sister and said, "You have a treasured family memory. I have a secret to keep." Doctors who abort sick babies limit the opportunity for true healing to come to the mother and family. But they also snuff out the opportunity for a miracle, like the story of our board chairman, Kathy Doherty at Divine Mercy Care, who was given a poor perinatal diagnosis for her unborn daughter. Like with any of the patients in Tepeyac OBGYN's Kristen Anderson Perinatal Hospice Program, Kathy was given extra time at her sonogram, extra resources, and a teddy bear holding the recorded heartbeat of her baby to keep, even after her little daughter Maggie's heart stopped beating. But 5 years later, Maggie's heart is still beating, and she is a thriving, happy little girl. Even pro-life doctors are stuck in secular practices across the nation, being pressured by their colleagues to perform abortions on these babies, and this has to stop.
Yes. Yes.
I encourage you to support groups like Be Not Afraid and Prenatal Partners for Life. It's time for the pro-life movement to consider medicine and perinatal hospice as fundamental tenets of our cause, because we honor every single life. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Katrina Gallick, and I am proud to be here today representing the March for Life. Over the last few weeks, the end game of pro-abortion extremists has been made obvious to all Americans. The goal of pro-abortion champions like Andrew Cuomo in New York, Governor Northam, and Representative Tran here in Virginia is abortion for any reason for all 9 months of pregnancy, and they want us to pay for it. This is extremism at its worst, and this has been rejected by the American people. Consistent polling shows that 75% of Americans believe that abortion should be limited at most to the first 3 months of pregnancy. And that includes Americans who self-identify as pro-choice. Now, we in the pro-life movement know that one abortion is one too many.
Yes. Yes.
And that is why we will keep marching, we will keep fighting, and keep rallying until every unborn child is protected and every mother is cared for.
Yes.
Each of us are here today because we have hope for mothers who find themselves in difficult or unexpected pregnancies. We have hope for little babies who receive prenatal diagnoses like Down syndrome. We have hope for every unborn child and mother. Now, standing in opposition to this hope is abortion, and that is why we continue to fight. Now, the Vice President is right. This is a national call to action. So who of us here is going to be taking action more this year? It's not a time for idle silence or for waiting for somebody else to lead. The March for Life is very proud to say that we will be helping organize the first March for Life in Virginia this April. Yeah. And we invite all of you to join us at the Virginia Capitol on April 3rd to send a message loud and clear that Virginia stands for life. So I look forward to seeing all of you join the Family Foundation, Virginia Catholic Conference, and the rest of Pro-Life Virginia to say that every life has value and every life is worthy of protection. Thank you.
All right, look at all these beautiful people. This is incredible. This is incredible. Hey, how many of y'all want to see every baby have life? Every single baby. How many of y'all believe that every single woman deserves better than abortion? We do too. My name is Becky Sheets. I'm with CareNet Pregnancy Resource Centers. We are a local pregnancy center in Manassas and in Woodbridge. We serve all of Prince William County and beyond. We have a table set up over here with coffee and donuts from Susan B. Anthony List. If anybody wants to learn how they can take some more action, and that's saving babies and helping women and know that there are better options than abortion. Get inside a pregnancy center. Help out in a pregnancy center like ours, CareNet Pregnancy Resource Centers. It's the best way to plug in and see babies saved, women ministered to, and families have opportunities to have a local church come around them and help them grow into the creatures that God has intended them to grow into. Thank you for being here. God bless you.
Thank you. All right, kids, let's help lead in a cheer. Come on, come on. Ready? And then everybody gather in, too. Ready? Virginia loves life. 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 Okay, say that all the way home. All the way home. In the car on the way home, say that over and over and over and over and over. We all love it, and we all love you, and thank you. If there is one thing the pro-life movement is about, it is love. Love is at the center of this. Otherwise, we are what is it? Thank you. Otherwise, we're nothing. So thank you. There are a lot of reporters and cameras here, and we're not going to take questions from here, but you're welcome. We'll all come over there, and we can have some conversation. But I do want to ask if you are running for public office to please raise your hand. And you're pro-life. Thank you. I know. All right. God bless you. All right. Thanks, everybody. And let's do this again sometime soon.
Let's hope we don't have to.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm going to come over this way. Excuse me, darling.